Chapter 41. How can you eat such a cute bunny? Hiroshi stared at the words on the screen, feeling a sense of shock. This wasn't some secret of the Stardust Corporation. It was the ambition of a mad scientist. Faced with this upheaval, there were actually people like Christopher who wanted to change the entire world through their own efforts. Hiroshi couldn't help but admire him. But that admiration only went so far. If Christopher tried anything against him or Kiko, Hiroshi wouldn't hesitate to eliminate him, no matter how influential Christopher might be. Hiroshi scrolled down, seeing nothing but highly professional experimental data. It was clear that Christopher used his own specialized code when recording these data. Although Hiroshi had some knowledge of biology, he couldn't decipher what Christopher's data really meant. This thing is useless. Hiroshi finally confirmed that the USB drive he had snatched back was of no use to him. Disappointed, he unplugged it. After freshening up, he prepared to sleep. Meanwhile, inside Sally's villa, Christopher stared intently at his laptop, where the screen displayed a scanning interface resembling a defense radar. "Mr. Christopher, still no trace?" Eddie asked in a deep voice. Christopher loosened his collar impatiently, a helpless expression on his face. Perhaps they used some method, or maybe they haven't checked the contents of the USB yet. No signal. Should we report to the police and investigate? Eddie asked tentatively. Christopher pondered for a long while, shaking his head as if hesitating. Forget it. The data in that USB is just some old stuff. Even if someone else sees it, they probably won't understand. In fact, the information in that USB wasn't particularly important to him. It just contained some of his writings. If certain people saw it, they might guess his true purpose in coming to South City. "Mr. Christopher, this incident is too coincidental. We were attacked shortly after arriving in South City. Could it be the work of Number 7's people?" Eddie frowned, beginning to suspect that the attack on the villa tonight wasn't aimed at Sally, but at them. Christopher denied Eddie's speculation. Number 7 wouldn't send novices like this to attack us if they were really going to act against us. This person is physically strong but inexperienced, definitely not a professional thug. Could it really be a coincidence? Eddie muttered to himself. "Your anti-radiation corn has matured. Hiroshi was awakened by a series of alerts. He opened his eyes and glanced at the clock on the wall. 7 in the morning. He stretched lazily, feeling refreshed all over. Time to get up and make breakfast. Since his physique had improved, Hiroshi found that the quality of his sleep had also improved a lot. After 7 hours of sleep each day, he woke up feeling refreshed, with all the energy he had used during the day replenished in his sleep. 5 minutes later, a pot of millet porridge was already simmering in the kitchen. During this time, Hiroshi directed robots to harvest the mature crops. "You've exchanged 700 kilograms of corn, earning points. You've exchanged 600 kilograms of soybeans, earning points." Soon, the points were exchanged. Hiroshi glanced at the freezer and found that there were not many ingredients left. If they didn't replenish them tonight, they might end up having a vegetarian dinner. During this time, both he and Kiko had developed a taste for meat. The texture and nutrition provided by meat surpassed vegetables and fruits. For Kiko, who was still growing, it was essential. It's time to start using the animal husbandry area. Hiroshi opened the store and examined the interface for resource class, livestock area juveniles. Inside the store, these young animals were also divided into 5 levels, just like the crops. With the influence of the accelerated potion, Hiroshi's current crops could be harvested 3 times a day. Besides using them for his own consumption and points exchange, he could also set aside some for feeding these young animals. What should I raise? I haven't had chicken in a long time. Let's get a few chickens first, and tonight we can pick some goji berries and jujubes to stew chicken soup. Hiroshi muttered to himself, calculating the categories of juveniles he wanted to develop. "We've been eating too much pork lately, and fatty meat is too greasy, so let's not consider it for now. Lamb is nutritious and has a good taste. Let's get 2 lambs. Oh, and let's get some quail too. Quail eggs are delicious when pickled. Donkey meat hot pot is also very good. Try hot pot in cold weather is just right." Hiroshi looked at the dazzling array and felt that he wanted to taste all the meats. However, after careful consideration, he first selected 4 juveniles: sheep, chicken, rabbit, and quail. He chose these 4 because they were small in size, occupied little space, had small appetites, and were easy to raise. Most importantly, there were no storage costs. For example, Hiroshi and Kiko could finish eating all the meat on an adult goat within 3 days, without affecting the taste due to the meat being stored for too long. Hiroshi bought 2 lambs, 4 chicks, 4 baby rabbits, and 10 quails in one go. In an instant, the whole room became lively like a market. These young animals seemed hungry, chirping and tweeting incessantly, making Kiko wake up from the noise. Rubbing her eyes, she came out and was stunned by what she saw. "Big brother, where did you get so many baby bunnies?" In the eyes of the little girl, there had always been only cute things. The best-looking baby rabbit was hugged by Kiko, while the 2 lambs and chicks were completely ignored, standing on the side with a look of grievance, constantly crying "ba-ba" and "chirp-chirp," seeming to feel lost because they hadn't received Kiko's affection. Seeing this, Hiroshi sighed silently, thinking to himself, "Don't worry, when you guys are placed on the dinner table, Kiko will surely show you even more love. Little bunny is so pretty. I'm going to dress you up," Kiko said, then turned and ran to her bedroom with the small rabbit in her arms. Hiroshi didn't chase after her. Instead, he took the other juveniles downstairs with Little Black and placed them in the refurbished livestock shed. Since the advent of the destruction era, the weather had turned cold, so Hiroshi had added 2 layers of windproof cotton to the livestock shed. Moreover, he installed a special high-power heating air conditioner, so there was no risk of the juveniles freezing to death. After settling them, Hiroshi returned to the small building. He saw Kiko having painted a small rabbit in various colors with watercolor pens, looking very happy. "Kiko, after breakfast, you have to study, okay? Take the small rabbit to the shed downstairs," Hiroshi said. "No, I want the small rabbit to play with me," Kiko said, staring at the small rabbit without turning her eyes away. Hiroshi smiled and said, "But the small rabbit needs to grow quickly so it can grow meat." Suddenly realizing something, Kiko asked in surprise, "Big brother, are you going to eat the small rabbit? Otherwise, why would I raise it?" Hiroshi shrugged and turned to walk towards the kitchen. "Tonight we'll have chicken soup and spicy rabbit head. How does that sound? Plus a bit of scallion. It'll be delicious." Suddenly, with an extremely angry voice, Kiko shouted, "Big brother is a bad person. How can you eat such a cute bunny?" Hiroshi raised his eyebrows helplessly. This little foodie had quite the temper. "I hope that tonight, you won't be holding a rabbit leg in each hand, exclaiming how delicious it is,"